Well, welcome to our podcast, and this is our first sort of podcast we're doing at Domo, actually.
Yeah, it is, and this is my first time ever doing a podcast.
Is it really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I do. I do them all the time.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on.
No, that's fine. So, I think what we're going to talk about today is a little bit about what a buyer's agent is, what a listing agent is, the difference between the two, and why you should work with one and why you should work with the other, perhaps. Just kind of like the differences, really.
Yeah.
So I'll quickly kind of explain, what I understand. So with a listing agent, and I was a listing agent when I worked for Better Homes. A listing agent works for the seller. Okay, they list a property, they fill out the form with them, they go and take the pictures of the property, they talk about the price, all of that kind of stuff. They get it, they promote it, right? And it costs quite a lot of money to do that. A buyer's agent works on the other side. So a buyer's agent works for the buyer. So they specifically are tasked with, right, I'm working for the buyer. I want to make sure that buyer's looked after. They're getting the deal at the right price. They're buying the property that they really, really want, that they fully understand all the different areas of Dubai that they're looking to buy in for whatever it might be. Because you might be an investor, you might be an end user, you might be doing it as a bit of both. All right. So as a buyer's agent, we need to explain and help the person through that process. A buyer's agent, a good buyer's agent, will work with listing agents that are professionals and specialists in certain areas. So, for example, if we have a client looking to buy in Jumeirah Islands, obviously you want to work with someone that specializes in Jumeirah Islands, and that's what we do. So we work with an agent or two from each area of Dubai, be it Jumeirah Islands, the Palm, wherever it might be, and they specialize in that, and therefore we can trust that the knowledge that they give us is correct and up to date. Now, you actually started off you and your wife started off as clients of ours, right?
Yeah.
We helped you purchase a property, get the mortgage for the property, and you got in there, and you liked what we were doing, and you sort of said, I remember one time we were driving around, you said, well, I'm thinking about doing real estate. Do you have any job openings or something, or can you explain it?
Yeah.
And I remember meeting you the first time in Circle Mall. Was it? It was in Circle Mall, wasn't it? In JB,
Yeah.
So tell me why you wanted to come sort of on board with us when you could have, worked for anybody.
I think it's actually a really long story, and I feel like we could do a whole episode on this by itself, but we won't. But to give you kind of like the short of it all, I'd already done some research on you guys beforehand. So if for anyone that doesn't know, I actually stayed in one of your Airbnbs to start with. So one
in
side
fact,
of the
two
business,
of our Airbnbs.
Oh yeah, two
technically
of them.
two of our
so
properties. Yeah.
Obviously, that's one strand of the business, right?
Yep.
So it's property management. And when we were thinking to move to another place, I got in contact with you, and I thought, look, can you kind of show us around a little bit, because we're really new to the city. I've only been here once before, and that was about 20 years before, so a lot has changed since then.
Yeah.
And I think straight off the offset, when talking to you and Pfizer as well, we felt really at ease. You guys were super friendly. You're also a fountain of knowledge. Anything that we asked about anything, whether it was how do I even get my groceries, or how do I get around better, do you know any car rental companies?
Yeah.
You had all of that information to hand, but you also delivered it in such a friendly way. It's kind of like almost a friend rather than I know this guy.
That's nice. That's what we want to deliver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then obviously by doing my research in the background, I saw that, okay, cool, you guys also do mortgages, you help people buy in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a really interesting angle, because from the outside, when you tell someone that you do real estate, or you speak to a real estate agent in Dubai, they're all listing agents, and everyone does the same thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
And before moving here, I did consider it. It wasn't something I definitely wanted to do, but the one thing that kept holding me back was you when you work for a selling agent, as a selling agent, you are only selling one area, one community, and it often feels like you're just telling everyone my area is the best, like you should only buy in my area specifically, and you really do a hard sell on the customer.
Sure, yeah.
To make them buy there. And I get that, obviously it's people's jobs, but sometimes you could mislead them in a sense, or sometimes it's probably not the best decision for them, but you just want to make your commission and move on, right?
Yeah.
And I know that's not all agents.
And
But that's
it's not, but I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's why agents do have a bit of a bad reputation in Dubai, because there's so many agents and it's a very competitive market,
Yeah.
and they want to sell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I like this other angle. And firstly, I'd never heard of a buyer's agent before. I didn't even know they existed.
So when we set the business up, we didn't know they existed.
Yeah, exactly. But it clearly works. And obviously, from speaking with you, I thought, you know what, our morals are very similar as
Agreed,
well.
yeah.
If not the same.
Almost identical.
Yeah, we honestly live the parallel lives, just living the same in different homes. But yeah, so I thought, you know what, I could really get on board with this. This also suits my style of communicating with people, with interacting with them, and it's very much we work for the buyer. We really listen to them and understand what it is that they're after.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, I know you always hear and say, "Oh, the customer's always right," but in this situation, not necessarily.
Right.
Customers come to us like very confused. They don't know what they're looking after. Maybe they've been to and from Dubai a little bit. Now they're thinking of investing, or it's their first time here and they're looking to buy. Dubai is such a big space. You're literally thrown bits of information from loads of different people all the time, and it can be really overwhelming, very confusing. And that's why I think as a buyer's agent, you can be that point of contact that clarifies everything for them.
Yeah, and I think the biggest, and we still struggle getting this across to people actually, is when we're talking to them that we work for you. And we as a company, we're a small company, so we only take on a certain amount of clients every month.
Yeah.
So when we work for that client, we do everything that we absolutely can to make sure not only that they find the property that they want, but they also really want to buy in Dubai.
Yeah.
Now, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure it will happen at some point when after we've shown them around, someone says, actually, it's not for me. But I will tell you what happens a lot is someone's set on a 1-bed apartment and then all of a sudden they end up buying a villa. They actually start looking around, they change their mind about an area. They've been sent something from an agent, 6 months ago and they haven't actually visited. And then they come here, we're taking them around like, God, I didn't realize this was next to a whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it comes in is, we're not about selling. We're all about helping that client find what they really want.
Yeah. And I think we can use myself as an example. When we first started looking, we had no idea where to look in Dubai, right? And I remember this really clearly that you outlined 3-4 different communities for us to view, and that was it. And we were like, okay, let's go check them out. Now, if I was to do this by myself, I'm one for researching things like really thoroughly. So I would have looked at every single community in Dubai. It would have taken me 6 months just to get through that and then go on to buying somewhere. But you guys, from understanding us, getting to know us, you kind of got a bit of an inkling of these guys kind of like a bit of peace and quiet, but still something that's relatively high end. They like a bit of space. Which areas offer that?
Yeah.
And then you kind of took us to, there's quite a few different locations you took us to. Like Town Square was one of them, Dubai Creek Harbour. And then by visiting them with you, you got to actually give us a bit of background information on the pros and cons of each area. And the nice thing was you're not trying to sell one specific area. You were trying to help us find what's right for us.
Exactly that.
And that's what we found really important. And then just from viewing those 4 or 5 communities, we were like, okay, cool, Creek Harbour looks really nice. And then we thought, okay, let's kind of go down that route. And that's when you help us look at the different types of apartments and the layout. So it's a very thought out process of how it works, and it's very smooth. I think that's the most important.
I think people are very time poor these days, particularly if you're busy, you're working all the time, you're moving to a new country, you don't have the time to go around and look at every single area in Dubai. And what happens is you sit at home and you go on basically Bayou or Property Finder, because they're the only places you're going to look for property. And you'll type in, okay, I'm looking for a 2-bed, this price. And you will get so many because there's so many options. But if you don't know the areas, you're going to end up contacting 20 or so different agents. And then all of a sudden you're in this big database loop of you'll then start getting phone calls, text messages, look at this property, look at this property. They're not, and in my opinion, and this is just on a lot of agents, it's not every agent, but they just start sending you stuff. They're not actually interested in, is this the right thing for you? It's just like, I've got this listed, have a look. What do you think?
Yeah.
It's that throw enough against the wall and some of it sticks.
Yeah.
And that's something we didn't want to do.
Yeah.
When we looked at setting up our business, it was like, do we want to go down that regular real estate company where we do cold calls every day, calling hundreds of people, trying to get, a listing? No, it's not the way it should go. We wanted to be the people that someone turns to when they're like, I don't know Dubai. This is what I'm looking for. help us through that process, and that's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
And it's not for everyone.
And
Yeah.
I think, as Faisal said, that our service is not for everybody, you know, and if someone comes to me and they live in Dubai already and they've bought a couple of properties in Dubai and they're saying, I'll say absolutely not. We're not going to add the value that you deserve when buying a property. You know, the value that we offer comes from our knowledge of being all over Dubai and the fact that we can deliver a very curated buying package to you when you're in another country.
Yeah.
So a lot of our clients are in the UK and they come to Dubai, we show them around, then they go back to the UK and then we send them videos. We have a huge sort of formatted PDF we send of each location with the properties that we viewed, the prices, all the exciting things that they liked about it, the bits that they didn't like about it. And then we'll continue doing viewings for them once we understand their exact wants and needs, once we spent time with them. Now, that's something that no one does. And I know that for a fact, right? So we don't just send you properties. We send you potential properties that we know you're going to like based on other things we've looked at together because we've spent 2 days together. You know, hopefully at that point we know a bit more than just your regular person off the street. You know, we sit in the car together, we're joking, we're talking, we go for dinner together. We understand exactly what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
So again, that's not for everybody. So I think what I'd really like actually to do is you and I to talk about sort of buying and selling and whatever in Dubai every week and really better explain, you know, what value is added with a buyer's agent. Now, the one thing I will also point out to anyone that's watching this is it doesn't cost any more to work with us than it does any other agent. So how it works in Dubai, if we work with an agent, we split the commission. All right, so typically it's a 2% commission. Obviously, the selling agent is 1%, we keep 1%. And that's pretty much how it is across the board. So it doesn't cost a particular buyer anything extra. They just get a lot more in value and help and sort of building that trust.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we're going to go. So,
I have nothing else to add. You said it to a T.
Bye.